We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. This is The Wars and More.
All right, so we are going to do something a little bit different this week. We are finally not going to talk about Galaxy's Edge. But, I mean, there'll still be some recurring themes in this show. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe. Of course, with me is my good buddy, Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Not a lot going on. I can say that.
Yeah.
But there's things.
Yeah.
One of those things this week is not Galaxy's Edge. This is pretty crazy.
Right.
It seems like it's been months that we've been talking about Galaxy's Edge. I'm sure it has been.
Yeah, it's been
leading up to and then after the opening.
It's been in the forefront, that's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's not going to be the focus in the least bit this week. But we are still going to be talking Jedi Fallen Order. That's another. It's been recurring. It's been all the buzz, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
This one is it's interesting because something I didn't notice, and now that it's been pointed out to me, now I notice it.
Okay.
And it's crazy that I didn't notice this, but the lightsaber design for Cal's lightsaber, didn't follow the typical design of lightsabers in Star Wars.
So how is it different?
So his lightsaber, before the change that's been made, was like a solid blue. It didn't have that traditional white core.
Okay.
And I gotta say, for everyone who caught this, wow, you got a good eye. Because I didn't catch it. I guess I was just too busy looking at everything else.
Right. There's a lot to look at in that game, that's for sure.
There's really a lot to look at. But yeah, I didn't even catch that the lightsaber was more of a solid blue. And now, like I said, now that it's been pointed out, I do see it.
Okay. Now, yeah, but when you're dealing with Star Wars fans,
yeah, details.
They will catch all the details, that's for sure.
So I that's impressive. That's a detail that's like, whew. You were looking. But so yeah, the statement from Respawn said, "We made a mistake on that one, and since then we've fixed it." They said it was very fair feedback, very fair criticism, and we've tweaked it. We've also tweaked the shape of the lightsaber blade a little bit as well. You'll see the difference right away.
Wow. So, well, that's encouraging. I mean, to get feedback like that and then just respond like with a fix. That's awesome.
I think that's the and I know it's Respawn here, and Respawn didn't have anything to do with Battlefront.
Right.
But EA is the parent company here.
Yep.
And EA, obviously is in charge of both projects.
Yeah.
But this is the Battlefront 2, syndrome.
Right. Well, I would say this is definitely a result of a lot of the negativity that they got from Battlefront 2 initially, right? So,
right. But at the same time, one thing that ever since the pay to win stuff happened with Battlefront 2, and they came in and started making changes, they've been really proactive with feedback.
Well, that's awesome.
So they've made tons of changes in Battlefront 2 based on feedback. So they've definitely got their ear to the ground now, and they're listening.
That's really cool. I love that. I'm kind of going off of my kids, young teenagers. If in a general conversation I make mention of EA, I get nothing but I don't want to say negative comments, but like, they laugh and things, because they've heard all of the bad stuff, and I don't know that they've heard that, they've actually come back and fixed a lot of stuff. So it's funny how that works. Like, when something initially happens and it's kind of a negative thing, that gets a lot of the press. But, when things get better, you don't necessarily hear about it. So I like to see that Respawn's handling this one small thing right away. Like, so it's not even going to be an issue right from the get-go.
Absolutely. And, I guess, so while EA's listening, I'd like to say NHL 19, it sucks.
Maybe you could be a little more constructive.
What was I too negative? Strong?
Slightly. Yeah, big time.
I don't know what else to say.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's infuse a little less suck into 20.
Yeah, okay. I guess that clears it all up.
Hey, it's been a point of contention for me and a lot of my friends. So
okay,
we play the game a lot. So
nice.
If I were, I can start listing stuff. Like, we're gonna be here a while.
I was gonna say
we need to talk Star Wars.
This is probably not the podcast for that.
So, but yeah, it's promising. I like the proactive approach,
right?
And I don't want to see this spiral. Like, oh, they're going to listen to it, so there's this and there's this and there's this.
Right.
Look, it's not all going to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, my guess there would be that this is probably something that they heard from several different sources, right? This probably wasn't like one email that came to them,
Oh.
My guess is this is something that was kind of like a bunch of people noticed it and a bunch of people were letting them know. And, there's got to be some sort of critical mass for them to actually, handle it. So I would say, that alone, if they have some sort of, certain level that things need to get to, then they can handle something, but if everybody has, I don't like the way that tree looks over there kind of thing, that's just not gonna, that's not gonna cut it. So, don't get any ideas,
Right.
That tree doesn't belong on that planet,
Yeah. Call this Kashyyyk?
Right.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, it's super promising that everything that they've shared so far, the major point of contention at this point has been the color of the lightsaber. So
right, yeah, yeah, it's showing that things are in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
to begin with, yeah, I like
That's
that.
what you got. You got to change the color of the lightsaber. Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Exactly.
Which, yeah, I mean everything looks great. So
Totally.
it looked great enough that, you know, I didn't go, wow, that lightsaber looks weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, this is a good thing. And, you know, I'll say this. You know, if this was a, you know, LucasArts project back in the day,
Yep.
you know, you just said, oh, the lightsaber doesn't look right. And George would have went, yeah, tough.
Yeah.
It's what I wanted it to look like.
Right.
So, yeah. So this is more change than we're used to seeing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you know, back then he was the end all be all for, you know, what does and doesn't make it, what is
Right.
and isn't canon. You'd be like, dark blue lightsabers are canon now. So, you know, the guys at Respawn, they can't make that call. So I guess that's just one way to look at it.
Yeah, that's it's definitely a way to look at it. So, another thing we've talked a lot about recent weeks is Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked a lot about Mark Hamill. Don't worry, this time he's not saying anything. But so it just come to light that his scene in The Last Jedi, his little character there that he voiced, was it Dabuske?
Dabuske, yeah.
Mark actually did some motion capture work for this.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's,
You know, I guess I never put it together. You know, we've always heard that he voiced that character, which, you know, made nothing but sense to us, right? With all the voice work that he does. But then come to find out that, you know, he actually suited up and acted the part as well. Kind of cool. You know, what did he call it? Assuming it would be another untitled Easter egg. That's what he called it. So, kind of cool.
yeah. He said that he filmed this scene in the motion capture suit
Right?
with a giant sized medicine ball
Yeah.
to make him the same size as BB-8.
Yeah.
So that's you know, when I first read it, I was kind of like, is Mark BSing us here? Like a full size medicine ball, really? Like,
Yeah.
and then as I, you know, read it again and thought about it more, I was like, maybe he's telling the truth.
Yeah. I mean,
you kind of got to take into consideration: are you being trolled by Mark Hamill?
right. So, yeah, he has done this enough to where you second guess it now, right? But everything here seems legit to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like something they would do.
For sure.
And the motions of the character and everything, like, it doesn't seem like a straight up CGI work. You know?
Right.
It seems like it definitely seems like someone was motion captured for sure.
Yeah. And it seems exactly the kind of stuff we could see Mark doing, you know, especially for a character like that he knows is going to be kind of comical, you know, and that allows him to bring that side of his acting out. So definitely cool.
Yeah. So yeah, he can add drunk little alien to his list of
Yeah.
list of abilities there. They pulled it off well, that's for sure.
That's for sure. I would have to say one of the highlights of Cano Bite for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the highlight of Cano Bite for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be like that, but it was just kind of meh.
Yeah. Well,
It's not one of those, oh, it took me out of the movie moments, but it was the least interesting part of the movie.
Right. T.W.A.M made you laugh, right?
Oh, for sure. A lot of that credit there goes to BB-8 too, though. Like,
Oh, for sure.
so yeah, you didn't have any doubt that BB-8 was like, "What the hell? Like,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
you doing, man?
Yeah.
Get away from me!"
Yeah.
What?
No, all the, just sticking all the quarters in the slot. That's all. Funny.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a step into the rumor mill.
Ooh,
Let's
I like the rumor mill.
yeah, and these are rumor mill if I've ever seen it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just these two characters that are being talked about right now are two of those characters that we've seen over and over again over the years.
Yep.
Rumor. So the first one, Dave Bautista, being eyed up to play Darth Bane.
Ah.
So Darth Bane, one of those characters, like I said, rumor.
Yeah.
There's a few characters that you always see pop up, and it's Revan, it's Bane, it's Mara Jade, it's Plagueis.
Right.
Those are your characters that you see in the rumor realm all the time. So every time you see it, it's like grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly. But I gotta say, I would kind of dig that casting if that's what happens. I could see him playing that part.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of character for him that we've seen so far.
Right.
You know,
Bane would be far more serious than what we've seen from him in Guardians and stuff. It's obviously, but far more serious, more menacing. Something that could dig deep down into the dark recesses of his acting soul for, I guess.
yeah. Oh, what was the character name? So, let me look this up. So we've seen him play Drax, obviously,
Right.
in Guardians, and he played Hinks in Spectre, the James Bond film.
Okay.
So those two characters are. I got to tread carefully here because I don't want to upset the Marvel fans. But Darth Bane is going to carry a much higher level of depth and complexity than either of the two mainstream characters we've seen him play.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't
You
disagree.
seem kind of tentative there.
Well, no, the reason I say it that way is because, I guess depth as a descriptor could be argued, one way or another, but they would definitely be different, right? I mean, Bane is like cold, calculating, very intelligent. I don't know. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to. I don't know. Because I don't want to take anything away from, like the characters he's played already. Because I love watching those characters in those movies, right? So it would just be like totally different, But
I'll say this, okay? So let me explain myself just a little bit.
sure,
Okay, both of these characters, okay, are like the muscle of the film.
Okay.
Okay, they don't really have a lot of, you're not turning to Drax for the plan.
Right.
Like, you're not turning to Hinks for the plan.
Yeah.
These are the muscle.
Okay.
They just come in to kick some ass.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Bane is not that character.
Right.
Okay. Bane he's the mastermind.
Yes.
He's the one with the plan.
And he can also kick some ass.
Yes. Duly noted.
Yeah.
But like I said, he's the one with the plan. He is going to be the one that, so we haven't yet seen him convey that type of character.
Right.
He's played the muscle. He's played the guy who can come in and do a fight for you.
Right.
And do something that's going to turn the tide.
Yeah.
But based on his ability in a fight. Bane, on the other hand, has to come in and execute this grand plan that is going to literally carry the Sith another millennia.
Right.
He ends up being the whole reason why the Sith are able to survive.
Yeah, pretty much.
And survive under the radar.
Yeah, undetected. Yeah.
So that's why I say depth. I don't say it to demean the other characters because the other characters serve their purpose.
Yes.
But it's a much different character. And, you don't really, like I said, it's not something we've seen out of him. So it's new territory. Not saying you can't do it.
Right.
But it's new territory. For me to say, yeah, I'm excited about this casting, it's like, I can't say I'm excited about the casting because I haven't seen him play a role like this.
Okay. I could say it like this, though.
I like the look.
The look's definitely there for me, and I would like for me to be able to see him play a role like this. How's that? I mean,
yeah.
And if it's, Bane's the first time, that's fine. Fine with me. Because that's twofold for me. This guy's great as an actor, and it's a Darth Bane story. So, with as well as he pulled off, these other characters, I have no doubt in my mind he could pull off Bane. I think he could do it, and it'd be done just fine.
So, my, let's say, excitement for him playing this character doesn't come from anything I've seen him do.
Right.
In cinema.
Okay.
And I'm pulling this from Fanthetrax. This is a tweet. Okay, from 2016.
Okay.
He was asked, would you consider playing Darth Bane in a Star Wars Netflix series? He is the baddest Sith in the galaxy. You would be perfect. And his response tells me that, okay, this guy wants to play this character. He understands this character, right? Because anyone who says I would play Darth Bane at a local dinner theater, everybody in the audience would be terrified. That right there tells me sign him up.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's exactly the kind of deep down dark place I was talking about going to. Yes. Making everyone terrified. Yes.
Yeah. And that has him, and that is him saying he would jump at the opportunity to play that character.
Exactly.
No matter where it is.
Which tells me he's got some prior knowledge. So that's also a plus in my book.
So there's where my, sign him up comes from.
Right.
Because he's got the look. He's
Yeah.
got the look to be menacing,
For sure.
which Bane has to be.
Yes.
You know, the Sith of old didn't look like Palpatine.
No.
You know, the Sith of old, they looked like Batista.
Right. Yeah. And
They were warriors. You know, they were in a fight. You know,
yeah, it wasn't until after Darth Bane, and obviously we know from the books and stuff that Darth Bane implemented this, but the whole Sith hiding in plain sight with a master and apprentice,
Mm-hmm.
Like we see with Palpatine, is completely different from the way things were during Bane's time.
Yeah, Bane could be a Sith Lord in the open.
Yes.
So he didn't have to hide, and try and bring these master plans to fruition. He was able to just be a Sith Lord.
Yeah. Totally.
So they had a look about them. Even the Sith Lords who were known as like more of the sorceress type,
Right.
back in those days, they didn't have to hide.
Right.
They were a Sith Lord out in the open. It was part of their society. They had their own end of the galaxy, essentially.
Right.
And you could be a Sith Lord. Was not bad in their realm of the galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well,
yeah.
cool. I don't know. My takeaway from this is that, we said it to begin with. It's a rumor. But if there's any truth to this rumor at all, they're talking Darth Bane. And that's good as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Well, the rumors don't stop there.
Uh-oh.
And, of course, I already mentioned this. This is another one that loves to be in the rumor mill. So this is according to We've Got This Covered. Same place that's reporting Batista being eyed for a role in Star Wars.
Okay.
Lucasfilm eyeing Emily Blunt to play Mara Jade in upcoming Star Wars movie.
Movie.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, the Batista thing was a show, a series,
Okay.
probably targeted at Disney Plus.
Interesting. Wow. So
The movie thing, I now that's just the headline.
yeah.
Like they mentioned that it could be in a Disney Plus series or something like that
Oh, okay.
later on in the article, which would make more sense given
I agree.
what we know about upcoming films
Right.
and timeline. But we know about the Benioff and Weiss series of films.
Right.
We don't know about what Rian Johnson's working on.
Right.
So that could be your Mara Jade tie-in.
So Mara Jade, I would be interested to find out, when in her timeline this movie would be or series would be. If we're gonna get any of the interactions with Luke and any of the same things that happened in the old EU, the Legends material, come to fruition in this new canon. So that's
I would venture to say that if you see Mara Jade in Star Wars at this point,
Yep.
take what you know about Mara Jade and imagine it being handled very loosely.
Right.
I don't expect Mara Jade to echo the EU Mara Jade.
I would say, at this point where we are with, where Luke Skywalker's at and, Yeah, obviously. And
Okay.
yeah, and you know, where we are in the timeline, I don't see how this could have any similarities to the old EU, because unless you're recasting Luke Skywalker, and this is going to be some sort of post Return of the Jedi, pre Force Awakens type story. You know what I'm saying?
So,
That'd be the only way to do it, as far as I'm concerned, and have it kind of have the same feeling as Mara Jade of old. But I almost get the feeling this would be more of an independent thing, right? Like this
right.
is Mara's adventure on her own, probably.
Yeah. So I'll say this about, that, kind of rehashing of Mara's story,
Yeah.
um, adapting it to the new canon.
Uh
Um, you think people were upset about the handling of Luke Skywalker?
huh.
I gotta say, like, I'm not joking around here at all. Like, Mara Jade is one of those characters that you have to tread carefully.
Yeah.
This is a very beloved character, um, albeit by a much smaller group than would be, you know, what's the word I want to use? Like adoring of Luke Skywalker.
Right.
So it's a much smaller group,
Yeah. There's no doubt.
but it's a passionate group.
Yeah.
The Mara Jade fan base is very passionate and they love this character. So this is a character that if they're going to do, they have to tread carefully.
I would agree with that 100%.
This is one of the characters of the expanded universe that I would say probably more so than any tread carefully. And a lot of that may have to do with a little spillover from the Luke Skywalker adoration because of their attachment.
Okay.
So it may all tie in together, but
Right.
it's just a character that, I mean, get on Twitter, okay, and just
Right.
look at what people say about Mara Jade. This is a super loved character.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying any of that as a, oh, don't do it, but it's absolutely a tread carefully territory.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree there 100%. I don't want to say this to sound like, I know best, because God knows I don't.
Right?
But
With you there.
if you're Lucasfilm, yeah, don't just like randomly pick characters or say, hey, a lot of people like this character, so let's do a story. Yeah, we need lots of thought put into where these characters are going to go moving forward or backward in the timeline, in the canon. So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm with you. I'd love to see a Mara Jade story, but I would love for it to be, oh my God, that was an awesome adventure for her, as opposed to,
What the hell did they do?
Yeah.
To Mara?
What did they do with Mara Jade's character? Yeah. Yeah.
So we discussed this very little in this whole thing. What do you think of the casting? Like that
Well,
rumor, that choice.
the only thing I would say is, and this is an easy fix for movie and TV, is her hair would have to be red. That's the thing, right? But that aside, She seems like she'd fit the part.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely. You can see it there. You could see her as Mara Jade.
Yes.
I can't comment too much because I don't really know much about her.
Right. This is someone I've heard of. She looks very familiar to me. I can't say that I've seen a whole bunch of stuff she's done. So, would you say one of the most recent things was the Mary Poppins?
Yeah, she was Mary Poppins.
Yeah, haven't seen that yet, honestly. So, but as far as like visually fitting the character, yeah, I think she'd work out just fine that way.
Yeah, I know her. I don't really know her from the film, but she was in the film Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
I know of her from the film, but the film was very forgettable for me.
Okay.
Now, I don't understand why that is. Maybe I need to go back and watch this thing again because I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes.
Uh-huh.
And the critic scores like 90%, the audience scores 90%. So
wow,
I'm like,
that just means you were wrong, man. It's hey,
kind of wondering why I didn't like this film.
Right.
So, are you familiar with the film at all?
I know of it. I've never seen it, to be honest.
I mean, this is the one where he like it's with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And if you've seen any of the promotional material, like he'll wake up, he'll go through this battle, he'll die,
right,
and then he's back to life, and he does the same thing over again. You know, like
right.
So, like he dies, and then he's back, and then he dies. He's just respawning.
Nice.
So, like I said, I saw it and I was like, eh.
Well,
but maybe I need to see it again because I looked at that score and I'm like, well, apparently people love this film.
And if she's in it, it'd be worth taking a look at. You know, I'm sure this has got to be an action role for her then, right?
Yeah, she's the co-star alongside Tom Cruise. So,
yeah, probably be worth checking out. See, check out the movie again. Keep the Mara J thing in the back of your mind as you're watching it.
Yep.
You know, see how it would go that way.
Yeah, apparently when I watch the movie, I need to pay attention this time because I missed something.
Right.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. So one of my favorite new actors in the Star Wars universe was recently on Match Game. And that's Donald Faison.
Yes, he was. Are you familiar with the Match Game, Joe?
Yeah, slightly. It's not something I watch regularly.
So, this is something that, the wife was flipping through channels and she stops on the Match Game for a moment and I see Donald Faison on there. I'm like, hey, wow, look, check it out. All right, cool. Let's watch for a minute. And I see, the contestants come out for playing the game, and the one guy on there says, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and Donald Faison cheers, yeah. And I'm like, ooh, okay, cool. Got to record this. So it was cool. I thought the Star Wars references that they put into this game show. But it was kind of... so if you're not familiar with the way the game works, you have 6 celebrities that the 2 contestants are trying to match a question to. So, or match an answer to their question to. Anyway, so I think the question went something like this. It was so the Hard Rock Cafe has a new drink called the Tongue Twister. This drink can only be served once because it is garnished with the tongue of who? Who would you say, Joe?
Tongue?
Tongue.
We're talking tongue, Hard Rock Cafe, Gene Simmons.
Nice. It's a good guess. So let's see if you're right.
I love Star Wars. Of course. You love Star Wars. Sure do. I said Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons!
So you were right. But I like how he answers it. He says, I like Star Wars. You like Star Wars. Bringing Star Wars into it. Gotta love it. So
that just means they have a bond there.
Exactly.
If you're gonna play a game called the match game, I mean, Star Wars fans are gonna gravitate towards Star Wars fan. I mean, you got some like-minded stuff going on.
For sure. Totally. So when you get to the end of this game, right? So this guy that just guessed correctly with Donald Faison, Gene Simmons. When you get to the end of this game, you get to choose one of these 6 celebrities to try and guess your final answer with. And, of course, who else would he pick but, fellow Star Wars brother in the Force, I guess you would say. And here's kind of how that went down.
Which one of our 6 celebrities would you like to try to match head to head?
Gotta say, with my gut feeling, fellow Star Wars fan, the Han to my Chewie, Donald.
The Han to my Chewie. I like that I'm Han Solo and not Chewbacca out this piece.
I'm a little disappointed at the lack of love for Chewbacca there.
Well, yeah, no. Of course, you gotta think back, right? I mean, when you're kids or whatever, and you're playing Star Wars, you always wanted to be Han. You didn't always want to be Chewbacca, but
But the contestant was like, he's the Han Solo to my Chewie, so
that's true.
So, yeah, I mean, oh man, I might upset some people with this one.
Uh-oh.
Because if I'm at that point in the show, right? You're at the end of the show. You're getting to do this part,
Yeah.
I might say, yeah, he's the Han to my Chewie because let's face it, I'm still alive here.
Right. That's true. But I think all of this was more in a general context. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah. But
that's just how I would be an ass about it. If I'm being real.
I gotta say, I just thought it was really cool to see all the love for Star Wars. And someone like Donald Faison, he loves it. We know. We've played clips of him here talking about how much he loves it. And he's just expressing it on national television. It's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, and so I've said this before. We talked about my trip to Celebration.
Right.
And I went to the Resistance panel.
Yeah.
And that panel is literally why I said one of my favorite new additions to Star Wars was Donald Faison.
Yeah.
Because, man, he loves this. He is having a ball.
Absolutely.
He's a Star Wars fan. He gets to be in Star Wars, and he's geeking out over it.
Heck
and
yeah.
That's what made me gravitate towards him as, I really dig this guy as a new entry to Star Wars. We need more hype Faison.
Oh, definitely. definitely. And you know, I'm reminded of the cast of the Clone Wars, right? And their enthusiasm for the show and for the franchise. And Donald Faison is showing that same sort of enthusiasm, obviously, from what we just heard. It's encouraging for Resistance to me to see that. That's a good sign.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, if you know anything about Donald Faison from before Star Wars even, I mean, he's just a fun dude anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
totally.
mean, Scrubs? You ever watch Scrubs?
I gotta admit, I missed on that show, so.
Oh, you should go back and watch that if you get a chance. That dude's hilarious.
I was gonna say, you know, after seeing how he is with Star Wars, that's the sort of thing that can make me do just that. Go back and check some of his older workout.
Yeah, I mean, you see that goofiness, that, you know, level of enthusiasm from him.
That hype? Yeah.
That hype. Literally, that hype.
Uh-huh.
That is Turk in Scrubs.
Okay.
He is that way. He's just a fun dude.
Right on.
All right. So, I guess really the rest of the show here, we're dedicating to Daisy Ridley, because Daisy Ridley is really out and about right now.
Oh, totally. Yeah, she's promoting her new movie Ophelia, the alternate take on the Hamlet story.
Which is interesting.
Yes.
So, as a fan of Shakespeare, that's definitely something I'll probably be checking out at some point.
Right.
Don't know if it'll be in the theater, but
right. Yeah. Definitely something you want to see. You know, Shakespearean type works are timeless, right? So
yeah. But yeah, she's really been out and about. She's been on, you know, Good Morning America, Fallon, you know, everything, all the big stuff. And of course, even though she's promoting another movie, it always comes back to Star Wars.
Always.
You know, you're yeah, okay, cool, you're doing this new project, but you're in Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
So, where would you like to start here, Douglas?
Well, I'm thinking we'll probably start with Good Morning America.
Okay.
And they asked her a question that from the articles I've been reading as well, it seems like everybody is asking her this question. So, kind of interesting how she answers it too.
Think we'll see Ray pop up after this latest edition?
I mean, who can tell? What I would say is I think it's a brilliant end to the story. And like JJ and Chris, who wrote it as well, have done an incredible job of like wrapping it up, because there are so many references, obviously, to the 9 films.
Right.
But also it exists in its own thing. So I think people are going to feel very satisfied.
So, everybody's been asking her. I mean, episode 9 isn't even hit theaters yet, and they're asking her, so you're going to be back in another Star Wars movie? So, her answer there was a little bit different than what I've seen elsewhere. In some articles, she said, I can't imagine being in another Star Wars movie at this time.
Right.
But, you know, it seems like she's at least open to it. You know, she doesn't sound like this guy.
Is this really going to be your last Star Wars appearance?
I sure hope so.
You know. It's a little different there, right?
Yeah, I mean, It's similar, right? No, not at all.
But the other thing I thought was interesting about that clip, and we've been hearing this all along, but she brings it up, so it seems kind of like it's one of the more things forefront in her mind when she's thinking about the film is that it has nods to all 9 episodes.
I was going to point that out.
Yeah.
It's not just the original trilogy or the sequel trilogy. It's all of it.
Right. So I'm interested to see how they work that in. Like,
Mostly like what from the prequel era is going to be brought into this.
Right.
That's what stood out the most to me. Like, references to all 9. What from the prequel is your reference? Like,
yeah. Because when I first heard that they were going to try and tie in all of the trilogies together, my thought was that there would be something that would reference back to the prequels, right?
Right.
And something or someone to reference back to the OT. But the way she's talking is all 9. Like they're going to hit on specific beats that reference back to something from episode 1, something from episode 3. I mean, that makes it more interesting to me, to be perfectly honest about it. But, it almost seems like that'd be really complex way of storytelling. So hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll hit on like each film individually.
Yeah, I doubt it would be each, but
I think it would be more like what you said the first time, which you have this thread from the prequel trilogy, this thread from the original trilogy, and they're going to hit on those.
Right.
Something to tie it all together. And to be quite honest, a lot of that might be focused on that laugh that we heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right there.
That's going to be the continuous thread. So,
really?
I mean, him being in it alone would be, hit on everything.
Yeah. But so this tie back to the PT and the OT has also got to tie into episodes 7 and 8 somehow too. Right? So we have 0 reference to Palpatine, really. Well, I shouldn't say reference, because Luke does reference him, but 0 evidence of him playing a role in 7 and 8.
Right.
Thus far. So, I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't know. Hopefully they have an excellent story and it all interweaves really well. I'm just, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I really can't wait to see this. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I mean, you're going to be wrapping up the Skywalker story. So I would assume that there's going to be a lot of ties to Anakin's story.
Yes.
Because the 2 continuous things you had in all of this is Palpatine.
Right.
And Anakin.
Right.
Anakin probably being the more consistent thread.
Yeah.
Because there are references to Anakin in both of the sequel trilogy films so far.
You're right. Yeah. More so than the Emperor. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Emperor pretty much being responsible for Anakin going the way he did, and Anakin himself. And there's already been rumors of, Anakin's involvement.
Right.
Whether it's a Force ghost or just mere mention of him, just his story as a whole being that connective tissue.
Yeah.
That link that Kylo obviously feels he has to his grandfather.
Right.
So
okay, I'm gonna veer us off on a little tangent here for a second. So I had this thought the other day, and I kind of ran through it for myself a little bit and didn't really come to a conclusion, but I guess I want your take on it too. So in the trailer, we see our hero group, okay, come upon the ruins of the Death Star, right?
right.
And the thought occurred to me that, right, and I think I've heard this said other sources, okay, but the first time I really put a whole lot of thought into it was the other day. So if on the ruins of this Death Star they find a holocron, let's say, okay? How do you feel about a certain portion of the story being told through a holocron? And I don't know if that's the way they're going to go here, but the thought occurred to me, and I guess I just want your take. Like Rey can open this holocron, and she sees the rise and fall of Darth Vader and the beginnings of Luke Skywalker. Maybe all this story being told in the holocron.
Okay, well,
so that's going to end up being part of the film for us, right?
Right. So my first question would be, who would be responsible for putting this holocron together? Because that's like holocrons, while there's a connection to the Force there, I don't think holocrons give you like a vision. You know what I mean? They're almost like a recording.
Right.
So the important part of that to me would be who is telling that story.
Right. I obviously we have no evidence of this so far, but it could be Luke, right? Maybe this holocron was started by Yoda, and after Yoda passes into the Force, Luke takes the holocron with him from Dagobah, which we never get to see in the film, right? So that's pure speculation. But because I have also heard that this movie is going to change the way we view all of the other movies. So
right,
who knows?
Well, so my problem with Luke having possession of that holocron would be the fact that it's on the Death Star.
Yeah, true.
So if it was like a Yoda Obi-Wan thing, and that was kind of lost from their possession, and shortly after.
So maybe it's older, right?
Right.
Maybe it has nothing to do with Luke. Maybe it's
and it would document Anakin's training,
right?
And then his eventual fall to become Darth Vader,
right?
Probably through I would say probably mostly through Obi-Wan,
right?
I could see that, and the reason it would be on the Death Star is because we've seen in games, and including games that are now canon, Battlefront 2 to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
The Emperor's his desire to collect these Force artifacts.
Right.
So something like kind of what's the way to put it? Like a Anakin biography done by Obi-Wan.
Right.
Holocron being in there. Yeah, I could see the Emperor, picking something like that up.
Right.
But as far as Luke's involvement, like I said, that placement on the Death Star would kind of be like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah. As I'm working through this, in my mind, yeah, we're hashing all these things out. So yes, it would have to be something older than Luke. But I guess I think, do you feel okay with something like that? Because here's what I'm imagining, right? Rey sits down on the floor, cross legs, holocron in front of her, starts to meditate, and it levitates, opens up, and through like a flash of light, we are in the past, seeing, firsthand what is on this holocron. I mean, do you feel okay with that being kind of like a plot device?
Not sure. Like I would venture to say no.
Okay.
It's a little strange, but at the same time, I'm hesitant to say no because it could be an interesting way to bring it all around.
Right.
But it's just not something we've seen as far as a mechanism to tell the story.
Right, exactly. What we have seen in Rebels and stuff, it's been very brief.
Right. So that's why I hesitate to say I would be interested in seeing this, because it doesn't seem like holocrons store that much information, and information at that length.
Right.
So I wouldn't really see that as, and another thing is you kind of got to explain the foresight of Obi-Wan Kenobi to document this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of a thing that, it's kind of covered in the Clone Wars, okay? The holocrons, they're kept in the Jedi library, in that vault and all that. They are there to pass on knowledge, Yeah,
which I take that as like training videos,
In a way, yeah. But my thing is, why wouldn't you document the rise of the chosen one? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I think it would be just like Palpatine to kind of covet something like that, the holocron that contains the rise of the chosen one that he was able to manipulate. Exactly. So I don't know. I'm trying to guess, I guess, at what we're going to see, and trying to imagine how they're going to incorporate the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy into all this, but
yeah, I mean, so I see where you're going, and I have a thought to expand on that.
Okay.
So if Rey's going to see some account of Anakin's rise and fall, and I think we've come up with Obi-Wan would be the best vessel for that story.
Right.
How about rather than an artifact, Rey finds Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
Oh.
And much like when she touched Luke's lightsaber and she was flooded with these visions,
Right.
when she comes in contact with Obi-Wan's saber, much the same thing happens, and she gets this kind of account.
I like that, but I would like for her to have more experience under her belt to where she would be able to delineate better what she saw.
Right, and control it.
Yes, exactly. I do like it.
Like she, and what would make that even better is if she found the lightsaber, picked it up, went over, sat down, and initiated the vision.
Right.
Got herself in that mode to where she would open herself up to that.
Yeah.
But in order for her to do that, there'd have to be a purpose behind her wanting to do that.
Well, I mean, she could just be drawn to it, right? Like she was to the Skywalker lightsaber.
Right.
And I will say this. I think that scenario right there would probably be far more palatable to the masses than a holocron would be.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. The holocron to me was like everything we know about holocrons is these are the information within a holocron was intentionally put there. You
Yes.
don't get information from a holocron because it's pertinent to what you're doing right now. No, this holocron served a purpose to record these events or to record this information that wanted to be passed on by someone.
Yes.
And I have a hard time believing that Obi-Wan, at least in the early days, would want to account for Anakin's life and his training.
Yeah,
Maybe
I don't
as
know.
stuff went on and he started to be suspicious of things,
Well,
the way he acted.
I'm also so okay. I want to go back to the holocron thing here for a minute because I do think that with all of the talk in episode 1 of this boy being the chosen one, that they probably would have documented most of his training. Okay. And Obi-Wan probably would have been in charge of all of that. So you're right. As far as that goes, it would be Obi-Wan, telling the story of the rise of Anakin, the chosen one. Okay. And I think running in parallel with that would be a Sith holocron with Palpatine describing everything that he's doing
Okay.
to bring Anakin to the point where he falls to the dark side. So they can run in parallel, and you could have Rey open the Jedi holocron and Kylo Ren opening the Sith holocron, and these stories could run almost in parallel, and it's like a big eye-opening for both of them, right? I don't know. Gets heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, heavy is one way to put it.
I don't know. I was just having these thoughts, and since we we mentioned we heard Daisy in the clip talk about how much it's going to reference back to all 9 films. The thought did occur. How are they going to do that? Now, obviously, we saw the remains of the Death Star in the trailer, but hey, maybe there's more.
Yeah, and we know that Palpatine was quite the archivist when it came to this stuff.
Right.
He didn't find all this stuff and destroy it.
No. In fact, you know, if you refer to you know, some of the visual guides and things like that, and go back and look through like his office on Coruscant, there's a lot of artifacts in his office. You know, stuff that's never mentioned, but it's there
Right.
for you to find, you know.
Yeah, like the artwork
Yes.
of the battle, of that war between the Jedi and the Sith.
Right.
Yeah, he was pretty arrogant that way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You know, he brings this aspiring young Jedi looking to make a name for himself into his confidence, and pretty much, you know, he reveals that his knowledge goes much deeper than studying the two.
Right.
That he knows the intricacies of the Force.
Right.
Tries to play it off, but
Yeah.
to little of it. Very arrogant.
Yes, definitely arrogant.
But yeah, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
The two holocrons is where you started to get me going, okay. Both sides of the story.
Right.
You know, Anakin's growth from Obi-Wan's point of view and Anakin's growth from Palpatine's point of view.
Exactly.
The two people that are trying to tug at his strings there.
Right. And
That's interesting.
you know, we were given hints of all that stuff from the very beginning, right? You know, we'll be watching your career with great interest. You know, you know, we'll be watching your career. You know, we'll be making sure you're taking the steps that we want you to be taking. Basically, that's what Palpatine's saying there. You know, I don't know. I'm just, you know, spitballing, trying to guess at what might happen, but who knows?
Yeah, I was, like I said, I was really hesitant on the holocron thing until you said Jedi and Sith holocrons. That's now I hesitate to keep this going because of the time, but I gotta say, you know, I believe it was Rebels. It was Rebels. And it was Darth Maul with Ezra.
Right.
And the struggles that Darth Maul was having as a dark side user to open a Jedi holocron.
Right.
And then the kind of hints at the same kind of issues Ezra might have with opening a Sith holocron, which turned out, yeah, he didn't have much trouble.
Right.
I wonder if, you know, because didn't you say that your thought was Kylo opening the Jedi holocron and Rey opening the Sith holocron?
Nope.
The
The
other
opposite.
way around.
Yeah, the other way around. And
Okay,
those
so
are the
scratch-
reasons exactly why I was thinking that way.
Okay, so scratch everything I just said.
But my thought was they would probably be doing this for whatever reason, kind of together, kind of at the same time, right? So that they get to see the arrogance of the Jedi, the deception of the Sith, and put two and two together, right? I mean, we've heard rumors of some sort of redemption for Kylo Ren. What could possibly lead him to that? Well, maybe finding out the real truth about his grandfather's past, right? I don't know, but
Yeah, but I don't think he has any. I don't think he's been fooled into thinking that Anakin didn't have a light side.
okay,
I don't think that he believes for 1 second that his grandfather was Darth Vader and that's the end all be all. I think he does understand that Anakin started his path as a Jedi.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't realize that he was manipulated into becoming a Sith.
Okay.
Maybe he thought he did it because from Kylo Ren's point of view, maybe he was thinking Anakin became a Sith because it was the more powerful way to be a Force user.
Not because he was tricked into it.
Not because he was tricked. Exactly. When he finds out that he was tricked, it shatters his whole illusion of what Anakin was becoming Darth Vader.
Okay, so with that being his teaching point, what is the relevance of Rey looking into the Jedi holocron that would chronicle the other parts of his life, Just for contrast, or?
Well,
because I'll be honest, when push comes to shove, I don't think Rey gives a damn about Anakin Skywalker and his past as a Jedi. I think there would have to be something that makes that pertinent for her.
Well, maybe Luke comes to her and tells her to seek out this holocron.
Okay.
Maybe it's a a way of further teachings for her. Something that
like,
she,
don't let passion and attachment be your driving force.
Right.
Although passion and attachment worked out for Luke.
That's right. But hey, I don't know. These are all guesses, but I think it sounds pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I can say one thing.
What's that?
One thing this rabbit hole did is it left us stuff for next week.
Right on.
There's still a lot more Daisy Ridley stuff to talk, but yeah, we're running a little long here.
Yeah.
We'll have to push that off for next week. If you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsofmore.com. You got comments on any of this stuff that we just talked about? You want to tell us that we're full of crap? You can totally do that. And to do that, you can email us, show@thewarsofmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/The Wars and More. And you can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. I'm hesitant here. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I'll shut up now.
Well, that's not what I wanted to hear. But, all right. I guess we'll talk next week.